Hey guys, thanks for joining me again as I start my end of February, hopefully won't go into March reading project. In my last video, I think I mentioned that I wanted to focus on a specific author in my 2025 reading goals, choose one of the, I think I chose like 4 or 5 authors that I had read 1 or 2 of the books, but I have way more books of like Miyazaki. I think one was Colleen Hoover, Ruth Ware. I think there was another, but I can't remember. Wait, was it Murakami? Murakami or... Why did I say Miyazaki? Earlier today, I was volunteering at a shelter, and one of the Huskies, they named Miyazaki. Yes, my author was Murakami. It doesn't even matter because I didn't go with any of those authors. I went with David Mitchell. David Mitchell, I read Cloud Atlas like 2 years ago, I want to say. Absolutely loved it. I think I gave it 5 stars. Such a good freaking book. And I figured why not try some of his other stuff, because I'm not sure I'll like it, but the probability is pretty high. So the books that I have of his physically at my apartment, I've got Black Swan Green. I have The Bone Clocks. We've got Utopia Avenue. And last but not least, we have The Thousand Autumns of Jacob de Zoet. I now know it is not Jacob, it is Jacob, because I did just finish this book. This is the first one I figured I would try. Sorry, it sounded like someone was opening the door, which there's no reason for. We're all good. This is the first book that I read. I just finished it. I'm hoping to finish the other 3 in the next 2 weeks. The first thing I should say is I'm not expecting to like any of these as much as I liked Cloud Atlas. I don't think it's fair to the authors to constantly be comparing one of their works to all their other works. However, I am really hopeful that maybe I'll find another 5-star. Like I said, I did finish this one. It was good. It was between like a 3.5 and a 4-star. I think I ended up giving it 4 stars on Goodreads. This is set in Japan in 1799, I think, because I remember it being like a year before, 1799, in Dejima, Japan. Our main character is Jacob. He is a kind of a lowly shipping clerk. He works for, I don't know if it's like I think of him as a captain because initially they're on a ship. We'll say the captain, who is sent to Dejima to clean up corruption, because there is a lot of corruption going on between the Dutch and between the Japanese, the trading. There's a lot of greed, there's a lot of corruption, there's a lot of people taking bribes, a lot of backdoor deals, and they are being sent there, so Jacob thinks, to clean things up and to make a difference. Now, Dejima is this man-made island, and it's the only place that foreigners are allowed to enter Japan to trade. And right now, the only country that they're trading with are the Dutch, and it's through the East India Trading Company, right? I think so. Whenever I hear that, I automatically think of Pirates of the Caribbean. Jacob meets a lot of interesting characters on this island. Some of them are pleasant, some of them are less so. There's a lot of other sailors, a lot of traders who aren't happy he's there because they love being corrupt, and him being there is probably going to hurt their business. He meets this kind of grumpy, I don't know if he's an English or a Dutch doctor, but he's teaching a lot of the Japanese kind of students on the island medicine. He also meets a woman named Arito, and she's a Japanese midwife who is actually training with the doctor, which is very rare. Women are not typically allowed to do much of anything. But she saved the magistrate's son, and I don't know if it was a wife or mistress, during complications in childbirth. So because of that, she's given a little bit more leeway, and she's allowed to train in medicine, which is what she is really passionate about. Now, Jacob becomes pretty instantly obsessed with her, which is very strange because the whole reason that he's with this voyage is because he's supposedly in love with a girl named Anna, who her father will not allow Jakob to marry her until he is financially secure. So the whole reason that he is doing this job, that he is sailing to Japan, is to save up money to make some sort of a fortune to be able to marry this girl. Now, initially things are going pretty well for Jakob. He's making a bit of a splash, making a name for himself, making some enemies, but also gaining a bit of respect from people. However, things go downhill because Jakob's captain is not quite as squeaky clean as everyone thought, and wants Jakob to forge a document. When he refuses to go along with this, the captain says, oh well, fine, you're going to remain on this island for however many years, and we're going to sail away and we're going to leave you here without any protection. That, I would say, is about the first third of the book. The next third focuses on Arito instead. Now, she is very smart. She's really talented with healing and with medicine. She has good instincts for it. But that all comes to a halt when she is sold to a really creepy shrine, a mysterious shrine up in the mountains that people don't really know what goes on up there. Unfortunately for Arito, she discovers all too quickly that these creepy monks are impregnating the women and then supposedly sending the babies to good families. And in proof, they are sent letters from the children once they're grown. So some of the women have been there for like 20 years and they're getting letters from their grown children saying, oh, I'm so happy I'm getting engaged and like things are going so well. Arito finds out this is not actually what's happening. The monks are taking the babies. They are killing the babies. They are, I don't know if they're sacrificing them or eating them. I had the impression that they were being eaten by the monks because they believed that they would be granted immortality through the taking of this young life. There is a samurai who is in love with Arito, who was forced to marry someone else, but he still has really tender feelings for her, and so he stages a rescue attempt that does not go over very well. And then in the last third of the book, we go back to Jakob. There is a British commander who's sailing into town, and he sees that, this looks like a great trade opportunity. I could take over here. That would be great. I could make a lot of money. So he tries to trick both the Dutch and the Japanese into saying that, oh, you didn't receive word of it, but a war actually broke out and now I'm your commander, which means that you have to do what I say. This doesn't go over great. There's a battle. Some people die. And then the last chapter, I would say, of the book, we skip forward a few years and then 5 years and then 10 years and then 30 years, and we get the progression of Jakob's life. And it is sad and bittersweet and really beautiful. I think David Mitchell, in this whole book, for me, the very beginning, when we're kind of learning about this island, this kind of claustrophobic island, all the characters, the cultures being introduced, all the ways that people are clashing, the different cultures are clashing, that was great. The last chapter was also fantastic because it gets really emotional, which I absolutely love. Oh, my dishes are done. I know I said I wasn't going to compare it to Cloud Atlas, but for a second I'm going to. It was nowhere near, for me, it didn't do anything like Cloud Atlas did for me, but that's okay. David Mitchell has this really particular way of writing that I personally really enjoy. It was still a very enjoyable read. I still really liked it. Makes me want to read some of his other stuff, but there just wasn't that this is life-changing or this book has something really deep to say vibe that I got from Cloud Atlas. There's a lot of body horror stuff in this book that I remember there being like a few instances of injury in Cloud Atlas, but nothing like what was in here. Like in chapter 1, it's when Arito and the doctor are trying to deliver the baby and they goes into like really graphic detail about how everything is going wrong. So if you don't enjoy that, there might be a few parts you want to skip over here. There's a lot of talk about like the English captain or the British captain, whoever he is, has a really bad case of gout, and the sailors all have lice and injuries and festering wounds, and no one's very clean in this book, I will say. I mean, 1799, but David Mitchell seems to like to go into detail about how no one is clean. So yeah, that was the book. That's the first book that I went on for probably too long about, because I still have 3 other books that I need to talk about, but this is probably just going to end up being a long video. I'm going to stop it now though, so it's not too awfully long. I think I'm going to read the Black Swan Green next, because this one isn't too long. I am going to be going on a trip in a little over a week, so if I could have 2 of them read by then, and then the third I can work on, maybe I'll do like an audiobook while I'm like on the plane and traveling and stuff. I don't know, we'll see. Hey guys, welcome. Thanks for joining me for the kind of second portion of this video. It's gonna be quick because I have to leave soon to catch a flight. It's been an interesting morning thus far. A few things have gone wrong, but that's okay. I have been wanting to cut my hair off for a while now, and I scheduled an appointment purposefully today, the day I'm, several hours before my flight leaves, because I'm like, I'll get it done. I'll have freshly washed hair, because tonight, my final destination, I'm not arriving till like 11 p.m. and the last thing I'm gonna want to do is wash my hair. So I'm like, it'll be done. I'll have nice fresh washed hair. And I went to get my hair cut, and the woman was very nice, the hairdresser, but she was talking, she's like, you have very delicate, hair. You really don't need much product. Which I completely agree. I usually don't do anything to it. And then she proceeded to slather like 5 handfuls of like mousse and gel and stuff. And now it looks like I haven't washed my hair in like a week. This is freshly washed hair, and it does not look like that. So, but that's okay. That's a very petty complaint. It's just a complaint. I wanted to do this real quick because I just finished Utopia Avenue earlier today, and I'm leaving for several days. I wanted to do this while it's fresh in my mind. I said I was going to do Black Swan Green. I ended up changing it. I'm going to bring Black Swan Green with me on my trip because it's much shorter. Paperback, I can put it in my backpack really easily. This book is like his last book. Kind of, there are good things and there are bad things about it. This is about a band who has 4 members. It's about the 4 members as well as the manager. They get together in the 60s or 70s. Some of them are given more time for development than others. The most compelling, I would say, is Jasper, and I'm so glad I read The Thousand Autumns before this, because I had no idea that David Mitchell's books were all like interconnected. The Jakob that I read about that was in Japan, his great-great-great-grandson is in this book. Alfie, what the heck are you doing? Louisa Ray, who is in Cloud Atlas, is in this book. There was another connection. Some of the music from Cloud Atlas is in this book. But it's just, it was fine. I don't know, with David Mitchell, I kept saying I wasn't going to judge him by Cloud Atlas, but I was expecting to like some of his other books more than I have been. It's just, the last two books have been very middle of the road for me. There were some things that were entertaining, but then there were other things in this book where I'm just like, it's so stereotypical in some ways. Some of the, like the rock and roll scene doesn't really add much new to a lot of other books that you might have read. It did remind me of Daisy Jones and the Six, just the fact that it's about the forming, not even just the forming, before the band was created, the forming of the band as the band is getting famous, and then the kind of disillusionment of everything. So this follows kind of that same trajectory. Jasper, I mentioned him, I know before, he deals with, he's a schizophrenic, turns into a supernatural struggle that I did not see coming. He was my favorite character. There's another character, Elf. She's just kind of the girl of the band, and that's her whole shtick. All the press and every interview, the only thing she's asked is, what's it like being the girl in the band? What made you join this band of boys? And that's her whole purpose. Like she doesn't have much else other than her love life in this book. We don't go much deeper, delve that much deeper into her personality than that. We have Dean Moss, who, slightly obnoxious character, just that stereotypical lead singer, the struggles that come along with that. He had an abusive father he ends up dealing with. There's an unwanted pregnancy. He may or may not be the father. And it's just, a lot happens in the book. There's a lot of drama, but it's in a very kind of not standoffish way, but you don't, other than Jasper, I didn't really care about some of the struggles that the other characters were going through. The music part was interesting, talking about them kind of developing the lyrics of some of the songs. I like that. A lot of the famous names, this is like David Bowie and Janis Joplin and the Stones and all these famous people. It just felt like they were kind of thrown in there as like sprinkled little sugar candy. I don't know. There wasn't much purpose that I saw to it. It was just kind of not a forgettable book because I did enjoy parts of it, but I do still have Black Swan Green as well as The Bone Clocks I'm going to be reading next. Maybe one of those I'll really enjoy. Again, it's not, I haven't disliked either of these books. It's just they've been very middle of the road for me.